Hey, what's up, y'all? It's your boy Mike, aka Scarfinger, aka PTCAC representative, and I'm going to be putting some time into trying to make a candle making video. This is weird. Like, I'm looking at this, and then the things over there, and I don't feel like I'm looking at you. Whenever I'm trying to look at the screen to see how it looks, it doesn't look like I'm actually doing the right thing. So I am going to be making some candles today, and I figured part of this is probably going to be handheld because there's not really a whole lot of excitement to this. So there's going to be some time where I feel like I'm just going to pop in, show y'all something, and then come back. So I'm going to be making some candles, and then I'm going to be using a little bit of leftover wax for some melts or like little cups, if depending on how much wax I actually have left. I bought some stuff while I was waiting on a candle science order. I bought some stuff from Hobby Lobby, and I figured for this I'll use the Hobby Lobby stuff before I get into my candle science stuff, because my candle science order came in yesterday. I'm going to do an unboxing, and then I'm going to kind of get into that. So give me one moment. I'm going to flip this around and show you what I'm using to make these candles. Okay, so here is basically a lot of the materials that I use and tools that I use to make, that I'm going to be using to make these candles. Now, not all of these are necessary for today. In fact, starting from my left, your right, the scale which you need is not going to be necessary for today, because I bought this bag and it has 2 pounds in it. I'm not gonna weigh it. I'm not gonna waste my time weighing it. But I'm gonna use this pour pitcher, which all of the wax is gonna go in here. I'm gonna use a double boiler method to melt the wax down, and so I don't really need the scale today, but you're gonna need a scale. Then is of course your pour pitcher. As you can see, my pour pitcher has already been through some things. And then other utensils. I use this mostly to stir. It's just a skewer, a wooden skewer. I use this to stir mostly. Usually when I'm getting the wax out of the jar, some of it starts to cool a little bit, because I pour a little low. So I use the spatula to help get it out, get it all out, especially with the last little bit. And then a thermometer, so that I can keep an eye on my temperatures. I know when I'm going to, what I'm going to melt the wax to, what temperature I put the fragrances in, and the dye and everything else. Today I am making Love Spell, which is from Country Lane. It's I think it's a Victoria's Secret fragrance, and I'm using two. Since I'm using 2 pounds, I'm using 2 of these. My fragrance load is a little bit low for now, but I figured keep it low initially so that I can understand, so I can, these are just tests right now. And then alcohol for cleanup. Even though it's really hard to find alcohol right now, like super hard. I just bought this silicone mat because at first I was just using like paper towels and like a dish towel to put this on while it's still warm. So I bought this because it holds up to 400 degrees Fahrenheit, and I figured this would be better to put it on if I plan on keeping up with this. I'm making these candles today. I've already put the wicks in, as you know from the last time. I never really intended on making candles a lot, so right now I'm just using clothespins to secure the wick. They work just fine. I used those for the other candles that I made that I didn't necessarily want to. And in addition to clamshells, I bought this silicone mold so that I can put excess wax in here and use this as samples for things. I don't know how well this is going to work. as far as like the melts, but I'm gonna give it a try. I don't think I'm gonna use this. I'm gonna use little cups as I showed you in the last video, and just make a bunch of those with whatever wax is left. So yeah, I think this is everything. The only other thing that's not really on the screen, well, I didn't talk about my dyes. These dyes I'm gonna use, because I'm using Love Spell, I'm using red and a little bit of Lotus pink, because these are just kind of, you just kind of break them off. I don't think I'm going to use these for the long run because I can't be consistent with my colors. So I'm going to try something else when these run out. So I'm mixing red and a little bit of Lotus pink, and yeah, we're gonna make some candles. And like I said, the only other thing that's not here, that's not on the screen, is I used a old pan to do the double boiler method, and I put some water in it. You only need like an inch or two of water in it, and once you bring that to like a low boil, then that's when you put your wax in. So off screen, I'm just going to put the wax in the pitcher, and once the water's heated up behind me, then I'm going to go ahead and put that in, and I'll bring you back in while it's heating up. Okay, so the wax is almost fully melted. As you can see, this is my double boiler. This is the pan that I use. It's an old pan. It's kind of scratched up and stuff. So I use that. And the wax is in here. The wax is almost fully melted. The actual melt point and the temperature that they want you to get it to is actually pretty low on this compared to the other waxes that I've used. So they want you to get to 155, and as you can see, I'm pretty much there. So I'm just waiting for the wax to fully melt before I take it off, and then add in my color, and then add in my fragrance to get ready to pour. I'm using a glass top stove. I know some people put their pour pots directly onto the stove for this, but I figured it's probably easier to use the double boiler for now. So I'll be back when I get this off, everything's melted, and I get ready to put my color in. Alright, so the wax is fully melted, and I gotta wait for the temperature to come down a little bit before I add my fragrance oil. But for now, I'm going to add these colors in. Like I said, I'm adding a little bit of red and a little bit of this Lotus pink. Now, let me turn that off. I don't know how well you're going to be able to see this. I'll try to tip this forward. But because these are in chunks and you pretty much got to break up the chunks, that's why I said I don't think I'm going to be using this long term. Because the idea of I can't get a consistent amount of what I'm actually using. So I just put a little bit in there of the, well, I'll put a little bit more of the pink, and I need to break off a piece of this red. Oh, I just kind of tore through it a little bit. Oh well, it's too late to worry about it now. So that's the reason why I think it's going to be inconsistent as far as color goes. I can't 100% track where my how much of each color I'm putting in. Some people use liquid dye, which is an option. But I think I like the solid pieces. There's another one that kind of looks like it kind of looks like colored candy bars, and I think I'm gonna kind of go with those because I can measure how much I'm actually using from those squares into the wax. So while the wax is still warm, and it just came off. So while the wax is still warm, I am putting those in there. Like I said, I use this skewer to stir. I'm gonna take the thermometer out for now, and really I'm just stirring until it's incorporated. You can it's possible for you to put the dye in early. You can actually put it in when your wax is melting, but a lot of times it makes your wax cloudy, and it's too cloudy to see when it's fully melted. So I'm going to just right now I'm just stirring. As you can see, I changed my shirt to my normal painting shirt because one time I had on a shirt and I got some wax on it, and it was not a fun time for your boy. So I'm just going to keep stirring until this is incorporated, and then put my thermometer back in, and when I'm ready to put my fragrance oil in, I'll come back to you. Okay, so now my color is fully incorporated, and I have the thermometer back in, so I can check my temperature before I add my fragrance oil. As let's try to see if you can see this. I'll grab it from here, tip it forward. You don't really see this very well. It's kind of a very kind of the reddish pink, like I thought it would be, but when it dries, or when the candle cools down, it's going to be a much lighter color than the way that it looks in the wax right now. So I knew I wanted to add some color, but I knew I wasn't going to add a lot of color. So that's going to be perfect for what I needed it to do. I just wanted it to have a little bit of color. So right now it's really about making sure that these are straight. Now these tins, these are 8-ounce tins, but they have a line inside. I don't know if you can see this ridge. There's a line inside that is about 6, and that is where I'm going to pour to on each one of these. And what I have left over, I'm going to put into these cups, and I can use these for samples or use them for myself later. So I think we're pretty much at the temperature where I wanted it to be. So I'm gonna put this aside, and we're gonna add a fragrance oil in. Now the fragrance oil, I'm using 1 ounce to a pound, and so I'm using, each of these is 1 ounce, and I'm trying to make sure I get everything out of there. And you want to stir once you get it all out and into your wax. You typically want to stir while you're putting it in there, and you want to stir for like 2 minutes. So I'm going to set a timer while I'm stirring this, and I'll be back when it's time to pour. Okay, so everything is mixed in and is stirred all the way. I stirred for the 2 minutes, and now we're gonna pour. Now typically what I do when I pour is I grab a paper towel and just keep it in the front of this while I'm pouring, and basically I'm going to each one of these, and I'm basically just pouring to that line. That's the line. That's the line. This stuff smells fantastic, by the way. I never really smelled it before. It's kind of a fruity floral, and like sometimes you get a hit of the fruit, sometimes you get more of the floral. You just never know what you're gonna get when you take a sniff of this love spell. Alright, and like I said, for the rest, I'm just gonna use these cups. I don't know how many of these I'm gonna fill up, so I don't think I'm gonna fill up that many. And these I will use for myself in my warmer. They're kind of on top of each other. Alright, that's 3. 4. I don't know how much more I'm getting out of this. That's 5. Looks like I got pretty much 5, and they're all pretty much to the top. Now for the rest of this, it's just really about this point, it's just letting it sit. And I'm gonna mess with these and make sure that the wicks are straight. And then I'm going to clean out my pot. Now cleaning out the pot is pretty simple. You just take a paper towel and kind of go into it and try to get as much wax as you can out. And then eventually you take another paper towel with some alcohol. That's why I showed you the alcohol earlier. And you use that to kind of clean it all the way out. So that's pretty much it. I'll be back once these have cooled down some so I can show you what everything looks like once it cools down. So full disclosure, I've recorded this twice already, and I really need to stop freestyling because when I freestyle, I say a lot. So I recorded, and then I just said it again. So I made these yesterday. It's been a day, and I think for the way I did it and what I used, these actually came out pretty well. The candles, they came out a little bit more pink than I wanted. I wanted slightly more red, but they came out pretty pink. And so, you know, that's just going to be playing with the colors and putting them into the candles, or just taking the colors out of the candles and just making the candles, which is an option, and I know that that's what a lot of people do. I went through and I made some, when I made the other wax melts, I had some labels temporarily made, so I ended up putting those on the top, and I have some, oops, dropped that, didn't mean to, that has a little bit of wax on the bottom, but that is, the safety stickers are on the bottom. For the melts, I didn't really do anything with them because mostly this is all for testing purposes, but I might give a candle or two of these away, so that's the reason why I put those labels and the safety stickers on the bottom. There is, and you can see in the wax melt, and I don't know how well you can see this in the camera, but there's frosting, a little bit of frosting around the edge, but for the most part it's pretty smooth, and I was really surprised by the soy wax that I got from Hobby Lobby. Now, will I be doing anything with that type of wax again? Probably not, because that wax is expensive even compared to what I get from Candle Science. So I'm going to be doing some testing. I trim my wicks, even though apparently I'm not very good at trimming wicks to 1/4 of an inch. So I got to get better at that. And these will be tested by simply popping them out. So this will be popped out, and then you just put that into a warmer, which works out very well. I'll let you know, or I'll probably talk about the hot throw on this very soon. The cold throw on it is really strong. It's pretty decent, in which I was really surprised by how much, because I used 2 pounds of wax and then I used just 2 ounces, but the cold throw on these are actually really decent. Cold throw is how, for the people who are not candle makers, I'm learning all of these terms too, but the cold throw is how strong the smell is before it's lit, or before it's in a warmer or something like that. So I have started using one of the forms for testing purposes, and so I have a lot number and all of that kind of stuff, just to kind of keep track of this and how both sides of this actually work, how well they work in the warmer, how well this is going to work when I light it, and so I'm going to use one candle today after 24 hours, and then I'll use the other candles kind of like after like 3 or 4 days, or after like a week, because a lot of people say, a lot of people have different testing times and what kind of times they want to use for curing. So it'll all just be a testing process. I know a lot of people say that in the beginning, test, 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 test. So that's what I'm going to do. So when I have more information or get to recording another video, I will let you know. Until then, do the things like share, subscribe, and when I have these available that outside of the Patreon, because right now the Patreons have first dibs. When I have these available outside the Patreons, I will let everyone know. I think more than likely I'm going to, once I have all the business stuff squared away, I'm more than likely going to go the Shopify route as opposed to the Etsy route. I think that is what's gonna work better for me, but I'm gonna start with melts and kind of work my way into candles, starting with tins and eventually moving to some sort of a jar. So keep all of that stuff in mind, and like I said, right now these came out a little bit better than I expected, especially with the Hobby Lobby stuff. So if you want to get started, or you don't necessarily want to go to Candle Science and spend a buttload on shipping, just that's a easy way to start. If you have a Hobby Lobby near you, the Michaels around here does not have very good candle making stuff, so I would probably start somewhere other than that. Or you can go to one of these candle supply places or like Amazon and get a candle making kit and try for yourself. I would strongly suggest, if this interests you in the least, to try it that way. So until then, these are the candles and the melts in sample cups. And I think I'm done here. Peace out. Do the things.